So people kind of get confused. Little known fact, my name is Joan. I feel like this is a rap. Not really. My name is Joan Michel Vergara. That is my whole name. Joan Michel is just what I've always gone by when it came to photography. Even I had that cheesy watermark on the photo, which I dread now looking. But Michel, I thought I was going to sing the Mickey song. Michel, the reason why Michel is spelled like that is because my grandfather, his name is Miguel. And you can obviously, I hope you can spell Miguel. And my dad, he always thought he was the cleverest man in the world. So instead of Miguel as my middle name, he spelled Michel like Miguel. My sister's name is Merle, and if you scramble her name, Merlee, it actually spells my dad's name, which is Elmer, Elmer, like Elmer's glue. Like I said, my dad, as much as I miss him to the world, he has been the smartest man that I've ever known, and I'm gonna get all teary-eyed, but he was the cleverest man in the world. And I think that's why I've been very detail-oriented, because for him to even think of doing those little subtle details in his children's name, I feel like that's why I put a lot of detail in my work and in everything that I do. And if you are around me in person, I think you can tell how detail-oriented I am as a person too. But I just know that's a question that everyone has been asking to each other, is how to pronounce my middle name. It's not my last name, but it's Michel. It's not Michael. Michael is my idiot of an ex that I will never ever go out with ever again. Okay, cool. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Joan here. And today's video is going to be a fun one. I feel that despite being in the midst of a pandemic, I think that it's important to still be able to do collaborations, because the fact that even though despite we are all in different places around the world, it's easy to feel lonely, to feel isolated, and that no matter where you are, you can always still be a part of something. I created this Q&A photography tag, and if you're looking for a video to create, or maybe you just want to do this Q&A, feel free to make your own video. I will leave the questions below in the description, and if you do make one, I would love to see your responses and watch the video, because definitely I am someone who admits that I binge watch YouTube videos a lot. Most of the time, not photography unless they're my friends, because I always support, but at the same time, I just love watching stuff on YouTube. I think you can always educate or watch something mindless because you just want time to pass by. So this questionnaire is mainly about film photography. Just heads up in case you think it's something else. First question, in this day and age, why film? Point blank, just plain and simple, film is timeless. It's a medium that can never go wrong. I feel that even if you take a shitty photo, film photography has this culture that I am very grateful and is a privilege to be a part of. I feel that I learned so many things from different people that I've met through just sharing and talking about analog film, whether it's actually photography or filmmaking itself. I just feel that I met very interesting people that are now my so-called friends, and there's just a lot of history to learn about analog film. And with technology nowadays, we're still trying to figure out what to do or what you could do with digital. But I feel that with just learning to deal and use with what you have, it's just something that's remarkable compared to just trying to make something out of nothing. But there's something about when you photograph and film, there's something there already, and you're just trying to capture it. That makes sense. Have you experienced any bias against film users? I feel that there is a bias towards film, especially when people who have used it back in the day and now are questioning why would you use film if you have digital now. And the fact that film is expensive, especially that it's slowly dying. Film companies are slowly discontinuing film stocks, and it also kind of gives you a little bit of no hope in the future. But at the same time, it's the fact that there is hope. There are people who are trying to make things happen because they want film to still continue and live on for the future. And for you to just give up on something because you think it's dying, because you think that no one else is willing to do it, that it's not a good investment, then by all means, then you're just doing something for the consumerism of it, if that makes sense. You're not doing it because, I don't even want to say because you don't have a passion for it. I use analog film because I enjoy it altogether, whether I make something for personal use or commercial use. And yes, many clients don't ever want to pay and use and have you use film, but at the same time, they always, as of recent, always want you to replicate and manipulate whatever you shot to look like film, right? Which I feel like is the weirdest request you can ever get, because no matter how much noise or fake grain or the same grain you put on a video, it does not look nowhere near close to actually filming actual 35 or 16 millimeter film. And I've tried it. That's why I know, because some of my videos are not actually filmed on actual analog film, and so I know the difference. And my professor always mentions it, and we talk about and have that conversation, but that's for another video. So my whole point is, yeah, there is definitely a bias towards film, and everyone, to each their own, is entitled to however they feel towards it. And for me, I will continue to shoot film as long as I can. Next question, what kind of camera / lens do you use? I think that's a very broad, generic question, because knowing all of us, we all hoard a lot of cameras, and I admit I have a shelf and there's many cameras that I've never used, but I collected it because I thought, you know, I don't know when I'll ever use it, but at least I have it. And I'm at the point where I want to dispose of those cameras because I know which cameras work for me as of right now. And if those cameras have been sitting there for months, might as well give it to someone else who might as well use it, because there's just no point. Like, I'm not trying to have a display of cameras. They're literally just all piled on my bookshelf. As of right now, I usually currently use my Canon QL17. That's like my rangefinder that I just bring around. And then I also use my Canon EOS 1V because the capability of using EF lenses on it, meaning that you can use digital Canon lenses on a film Canon camera. I don't know why that was so difficult to even process. And medium format's always been my Yashica 124G. So I haven't really changed my choices of cameras as of yet. We will see. Film speeds, is it terribly important? I believe that film speeds is important, especially when it comes to noise and grain. If you don't consider the film speed that you get that is said on the film stock box, then you're going to either A, be surprised because you're asking yourself, why are the results this way, especially when you photograph at night. It is very important, especially at night, because if you have a low box speed, then you're pretty much not going to see any results. So you definitely are leaning towards a box speed of 3200 at least, unless you have a tripod. But at the same time, for example, if you use Kodak Portra, whether it's 160, 400, or 800, Portra has a big range that you can get away with not using the actual box speed that it says on the box. So pretty much it's just trial and error. You know, you figure out what works for you, but in the end of the day, I want to say that film speed is important just because of what type of results you're trying to get. Okay, cool. Let's see. How did you get started in photography? Similarly, do you or would you do this as a profession? Have you been recognized for your work? So I've answered how I started in photography, I feel, a million times, but if this is the first time you're ever watching a video of mine, I'm just going to make the long story short. Pretty much, I didn't know what I wanted to do career-wise, and fine arts to me, I felt like would not make any money, and that was my focus back then in high school. And I bought a DSLR, which led to my art teacher telling me I should do something with it, and I would photograph all my friends and my classmates, to people hiring me to retouch old vintage photos, to me photographing babies and birthday parties, everything known to man. I was like not opposed to any type of client or project. And then I majored in college, dropped out, assisted other photographers, to which led to me freelancing for years, and then learning how to maintain a photography studio, then jumping to another studio, and here I am now focusing on filmmaking. But for me, it's been a long journey of obstacles and struggles and success, and by no means there's no one recipe for everyone to learn how to become very successful in what they do. So everyone has their own share of trial and errors. Would you do this as a profession, and have you been recognized for your work? So when it comes to work experience, I've done odd jobs, and I'm not talking about odd photography jobs. I'm talking about I just have done retail, I've done all these other things, but my main profession has always been photography. And now slowly being hired to do more commercial video work, which is a bit scary because I'm used to just doing stills, and to do video and stills is a lot of work, but it's also fulfilling, especially when it comes to life and you see the overall product and result in the end. So I don't see myself ever doing anything else. I feel that I am able to communicate with my audience, showing things visually, and I don't know in any other form of how I can do it. As much as I love to journal and write or paint or draw, I feel that the best medium for me has always been photography, and now video. And have I been published? Yes, many times. Not in any publication in the supermarket, I'd say, which is one of my goals, but I've been in different publications, whether they're print or online. And for me, I also always thought one was better than the other. But in the end of the day, as long as someone sees your work, and you never know who, that might lead to your next job, and that would be cool if you end up landing something that you never thought you would ever do, and then now someone found you and now you're doing that job. Medium format or 35 millimeter, which do you prefer and why? I feel that I've always been more satisfied shooting medium format. I just love bigger prints. I like seeing bigger negatives. There's just something about seeing detail and in a larger format, and I haven't tried large format yet either, but going there hopefully eventually. But as of right now, I prefer medium format over 35. The only reason why I would prefer 35 over medium format is just because that you could capture 36 or 24 exposures over 10 or 12 photos on medium format. Let's see. How do you educate yourself to take better pictures? I've educated myself to take better pictures by looking, seeing, using my eye, not just scrolling Instagram or Pinterest or anything online. Literally, everywhere I go, whether I'm on the line for Starbucks, whether I'm just talking to a friend, eating outside, talking to my mom, doing chores, I always feel like I'm training my eye to see a moment, so that one day, or if I have a camera or my phone or something, I just know that that is a scene that should be captured or whatever. I don't know. So I feel that that is important, to be able to train your eye. That is some way, that is a form of way of educating myself, to know how light goes through a window or the time of day. I just feel like studying what you see in front of you, using what is in front of you, is very important as well. Because if you learned how to use the resources that you have, then you don't have to struggle with trying to get other forms of resources outside and thinking you're not capable of making something. But in reality, you can, because they're all in front of you. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. But if you're talking about just other things besides using your eye, I listen to a lot of podcasts, I watch a lot of videos, interviews, and just pretty much learn from people that I admire, that I feel that do the things that I want to do or have the same mindset that I do, or just listening to people and what they have to say educates yourself to what's around and what's happening in the world, or what's just happening around in your life that maybe is very important and you just didn't acknowledge because you were oblivious to whatever it is in your mind. So next question, whose work has influenced you the most? I feel that on YouTube, every time I watch any of my YouTube friends, I always hear the same photographers. But for me, I've never related to any of those photographers, so probably whoever I'm going to mention right now are totally maybe people you've never heard of. And that's okay, because I like to be different. So a photographer that I admire the most, and if he's ever going to watch this video, I hope not, but is one of my favorite photographers. His name is Conan Tai. I was very fortunate to assist him on photo shoots, and just to be in the same room as him and to see him photograph models and do editorials, it's a dream. When I first scheduled to meet up with him, like, I overslept because I was so excited to meet him. He doesn't even know this. I was so anxious, and that's how I am. If anyone knows me, like my friends or my team, they know that whether it's a small job or a big one, I feel that I'm always nervous, like the first day of school. So I end up never sleeping, and I'll overthink or overstudy before a shoot. And then sometimes, not that I oversleep on every shoot or something, but like most of the time I don't sleep before a shoot. And with him, I was so excited that I finally told myself to just take a nap, and when I did, I missed my meeting. But luckily, he was willing to still meet with me after that incident. And then after that, pretty much, I was able to assist him on photo shoots. And just as a little story that some people do know about me, before a photo shoot, I always look at Conan's work. Doesn't matter what type of photo shoot. I always felt like it's a good luck resume that I always do. So I always look at his work. Doesn't have to be the same photo shoot. I would just look at his work, and then I would go on about my photo shoot, and that's just my routine before I do anything. So you can tell maybe of how much I admire and respect his work. And I feel that his style is a style that I go for when I do my fashion editorials back then. And it's not the same exactly, but he's someone who definitely inspires me. The reason why I'm very inclined to looking at his work is because of the models that he uses, the color palette, the cinematic darkness of a look. I feel that I really relate to a lot of the photos that he takes, but at the same time, I always feel the same feeling and energy and mood that captivates my eye to wanting to capture something similar. So he's definitely one person that I really admire and influences my work. And another person that really influences my work, another person would be Bon Duke. He's a fashion editorial photographer slash director, pretty much works on commercial work, and he's someone that went to the school that I went to, and that's how I knew him. And before, I felt like I was a nobody. I felt like he would never even know who I was, but apparently he does. And it's ironic because I also missed a meeting him in person, and because I was nervous and anxious, I need to stop doing that. And then I made it up by meeting up to one of his talks, and then we talked a little bit. And yeah, he's just someone I've always also been influenced by and admired. And he's pretty much who influenced me to do filmmaking and working on narratives and still do fashion. So Conan would be more of like still work, and Bon Duke would be more of video work for me. If I had to put the two together, it equals me. I don't know. I don't know. So those two guys are definitely people that I truly admire. And if you don't know those two, you should definitely look them up. There's not a day before a shoot that I don't look at their work. Okay, what is the one thing you wish you knew when you started taking photos? I would tell young Joan that as long as you hustle hard, you commit, you stay on top of things, you communicate, you are responsible, you're respectful to others, you greet them, you thank them, you feed them, you make sure that everyone is known in the room, you do your part by meeting your deadlines, just all of that. That goes a long way in your career. And I felt that I learned that throughout the years of starting and getting into photography and until to where I am now. And it's unfortunate when you see people who don't do those things and they've been in the business for a very long time. So that's just my 2 cents. I feel like I would just tell young Joan, you got this, and don't worry. And whatever you're going to go through in life, starting now till later, just keep doing what you're doing. There's nothing wrong with you, in a sense that I've always been shy and thought that whatever it is that I had to say was not valid and that I was a nobody. But in reality, I realized that a lot of people want to hear what I had to say and know my ideas and what is my work ethic and my process. Because I always kept it to myself, and it wasn't because it was a secret, like I was like hiding anything from anyone. It was just because I felt like no one cared. And then whenever I would come up and finish projects, and then they would see it, whether it was in class or online or anything, they'd be like, oh, how'd you do that? Oh, I didn't even know you were able to do that. And all these things. And I'd be like, wow, you actually care about what I made. I only do my thing and I just put it out to the world. But I don't think or wait for people to acknowledge it. I just do it because that's just what makes me happy, fulfilling what my personal needs are, is to make stuff. And that's what has helped me cope and process my depression and anxiety and all that stuff. So, like I said, I'm going to leave the questions below in the description, and I would love to see all my YouTube film photography community friends do this, and anyone else that maybe doesn't even have a channel. If you have a video and you just want to share it, and even if you don't have a channel, you could answer the questions and send an email if you want, or you could even answer them in the comments below. But I really want to challenge my film photography friends because honestly, they're all good people. And that's why I did Creative Juice, because I felt that people need to know the depths of them, in a sense that there's just more to just taking photos. There's more to the people that you watch, especially on YouTube and in the film community. And so I don't even want to name drop everyone because it's a long list. But honestly, every person that I've met so far, whether it's in person or on Creative Juice, It's just been a really cool experience, and I know a lot of people are like, Joan, I don't want to do another Q&A, or maybe you've done these kind of videos before, but I just feel that it'd be cool to just do something fun that we all do together and then just compare the answers. So yeah. Okay. Anyways, so pretty much that's it. I hope you guys liked the video. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And stay tuned till the next video.